absolute show in Madison Square Garden. You know, you weren't there last night in Boston, but we both watched it on TV. The Thunder weren't able to pull that out. But, you know, again, the guy just lights it up. And this is not unusual. This is what Shai Gilgeous-Alexander does. He has to continue this before we can definitively declare that he's a superstar. But Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is playing at a superstar level right now for the Thunder at 24 years old. You know, it's funny because I was talking to one of our buddies who works in the scouting world, and he basically saying, are they going to have to fast track things around him? Because this is the kind of guy you tank to get, and they've already got him.
Yeah, that's the funny thing, McMahon, about the setup that the Thunder were in when they started this rebuild. You look at Houston, you look at Orlando, you look at these other teams that have sort of bottomed out and tried to come back up. The difference the Thunder had was when they made the trade for Paul George, they get Shai back, and they had a guy who was already going to be a star on their team. So that puts them way ahead of these other teams that try to develop them, right? And I've thought for a couple of years he's the most underrated player in the NBA because he, to me, is on the level of guys like Ja Morant. But Ja Morant is on a team that's, you know, winning 50 games, is trying to go deep in the playoffs. The Thunder are trying to lose 50 games, though they wouldn't like me saying that, and are, you know, been trying to be in the lottery.
Do more than 50 games.
Well, yes, obviously, but look, I mean, the problem they're going to run into, I think, when you look right now at where the standings are, I mean, with sort of how chaotic the start of this season has been, you know, they're sitting here right now at 6-8. Like, I think they got a chance to be hovering around 500 for a while. Yeah. Like, I don't think they're going to be ripping off a 10-game losing streak unless this guy sits down. And I was talking to a executive on Sunday, and that was sort of the conversation we were having, was that at some point the Thunder might have to choose, like, pretty soon here, like, what kind of direction are they trying to go in this season? Because it's hard to see them as constituted right now with Shai playing like this, being in the realm of teams we were talking about, really in the Victor Scoot sweepstakes in the bottom 5-6 teams in the league. They look like a team that's going to be somewhere probably from like 9 to 12 in the lottery right now. They have a really good coach. Mark Daigneault is a really good coach. Shai is obviously outstanding. Their young guys are getting a little better. So they might have to really start to make some decisions about how they're trying to operate this thing if they want to try to get a little bit lower, or maybe they'll look around and try to add and try to start, like you said, really adding pieces that fit long-term around this guy, because Shai is the real deal. And you saw in that doubleheader, you know, I think he's got 5 straight games with, you know, 30 plus points. And I mean, he's just tearing the league apart, and it's super, super fun to watch.
Well, and he's doing it in a lot of different ways. The only thing he's not doing well is shooting the three, but off the drive, he is as devastating a weapon as there is in this league. You know, he's like, we can talk about Luka, we can talk about Ja. Shai is up there in that conversation, you know, when you watch the games and statistically, and he's got such a funky game. There's so many, like, you know, wrong foot little floaters and reverse layups and all that stuff. You know, the
thing that doesn't stand out on TV is that he's 6'6". Like, he's so much bigger than all these, like, Ja and Darius Garland and all these other guys. Like, you talk about the way he plays, so much of it is using that length to get those finishes around the rim. He's become awesome at kind of stopping in the lane and turning around and getting like an easy 8-10 footer that he makes every time. I love watching him play.
He's awesome. Great passer, good rebounder for a guard.